Sometimes betting on sport can be really overwhelming, but it doesn't need to be. Here at First, we're here to help you with all the information you need to make the most informed decision on sports betting.
The first thing to know is some key sports betting jargon. So let's go through some terms that you're bound to hear time and time again in the sports betting world. To start with, a bet or betting. Now, to bet is to gamble or risk something valuable against an unknown outcome. For example, I bet you a fiver that you can't run 200 meters in 15 seconds. Now, the odds that you would win this bet are they're quite long, because who can run 200 meters in 15 seconds? That leads me to the second word, odds, which means the likelihood of probability of a particular outcome. And to gamble is very similar to a bet. When you gamble, it's to bet something of value, knowing that there's a risk to lose whatever you have, or maybe you'll gain more than you have. You'll hear the word wager thrown around, which has a few different meanings, but essentially it means a bet or the amount of money that is risked. For example, she put a wager on that game, or over £100 was wagered. A stake can also be a wager and represents the total investment in a wager. For example, if you bet £5 on England to beat Ireland in the Nations League, your stake or wager is £5. The term odds on means that the event is more likely to happen than not. For example, it would be odds on that you could run 200 meters in 1 minute. That's quite doable, I think. An accumulator or acca is a combination of 4 or more single bets that combine to offer longer odds and potentially bigger winnings. For example, you could choose Man United to win over Fulham, Arsenal to win over Tottenham, Brighton to win over Aston Villa, and Everton to win over Bournemouth. Now, the key to remember is with an accumulator, if any one of your bets doesn't come true, you win nothing. So you could have bet on 4 games and 3 of your game predictions have gone your way. You're feeling good. But if that last bet doesn't play out how you want to, you lose. An accumulator of 2 different events is what we would call a double, and a selection of 3 different events is called a treble. Arbitrage is where gamblers aim to make a profit on all possible outcomes of an event at different odds. It involves taking advantage of the variation in odds offered by different bookies and calculating a stake level that ensures any losses are covered by winnings in all potential outcomes. Closing line is where the odds will not change, they're set in stone. Before this, odds can be adjusted according to the number of wagers that are being received. Dutching is when you back a number of contenders for an event to ensure the same amount of profit if any of your selections win. Now, an each way bet is available in events that have a winner, a second place, a third and fourth place, so like horse racing. You'd make your single selection, but that is made up of 2 bets, a win bet and a place bet. Your selection is then backed to win the event at set odds, but it's also backed to finish within a range of places at different odds. So the each way bet will provide a payout if either part of the bet is successful. Your bet would either have to win or place in the top 2 positions. To lay a bet means to back something not to happen. For example, to lay a bet for Chelsea to win their match is to back them not to win. So you'd win your bet if they either lost or drew. What you might see alongside this is long odds and short odds. Long odds means a poor chance of winning, and short odds means you've got a pretty good chance. And if you would see the phrase lengthen the odds, that means to make something less likely to happen, and to shorten the odds is to make it more likely to happen. In-play betting is a phrase you'll see a lot on online betting sites, and it's to place a bet once the event has already started. So say the whistle's just blown at London Stadium, it's West Ham versus Wolves, and you've now decided to place a bet now on the outcome, which would be an in-play bet, and that will have different odds to a pre-match bet. A betting pool is one you might already be familiar with, and the easiest way to explain it is that there's a group of people and everybody puts any amount of money into a pot, writes a name down, and whichever team or athlete that they're betting on. Now, you're going to have to use a little bit of a maths brain for this, and I apologise in advance. Say, for example, we've got a group of friends betting on who would win the boxing out of Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua. Now, Team Usyk has Sarah, who's bet £50, Idris, who's bet £25, and say Layla, who's also bet £25. Team AJ has Dana, who's bet £50, Simon, who's bet £50, and Valraj, who's bet £100. So the total in the pot is £300, and in this particular bet, we already know the outcome. Usyk won. So because Sarah's put in half the amount for Team Usyk, she takes £150, and Idris and Layla both take £75 out of the total. And last but not least, we're finishing on an easy one, underdog and the favourite. Now, the favourite is the one that is seen as most likely to win, and the underdog is the one that isn't quite expected to make it. So now you're up to date with jargon, what do you do next? It's time to understand odds. So we're going to start with fractional odds, which is generally used in the UK, and this might sound a little bit like a maths lesson, but I'm going to try and make it as quick and as painless as I possibly can. So fractional odds are represented by fractional figures, for example, 5 to 1. This means for every pound that you bet, you will receive a £5 profit plus the original £1 that you bet, equaling £6. The equation would look something like this. The probability of you winning a place bet can be calculated in a percentage like this. For example, for odds of 5 to 1, the probability percentage for a win is... Decimal odds represent the amount of money that you'll win for every pound that you stake. For example, odds of 6.00 show that for every pound that you stake, you'll get a total of £6 if you win. Your payout equation would look like this, and the probability of you winning a placed bet can be calculated using this formula. The probability of a win stands at 100 over 6.00 equaling 16.66%. Hopefully you're still with me because we still have American odds to do. Now American odds are represented with a minus sign to show the favourite and a plus sign to show the underdog. For example, minus 500 plus 300. This means if you bet on the underdog, you must bet £100 to potentially win a profit of £300 for a total of £400. The £100 bet that you've made plus the £300 odds on the underdog would give you a total of £400. Say you're going to bet on the favourite, you would need to bet £500 to win a profit of £100 for a total of £600. Now you don't actually have to put on a £100 bet, but you can calculate from those start points how much you would win if betting on a different amount. Okay, so now you have a bit more understanding of odds. I imagine you actually want to know how you're going to put a bet on. First thing you'll need to do is sign up to an online bookies where you can find the best options with us at first. Make sure you do a little bit of research and choose the most trusted and reputable bookies. Next, decide what you want to bet on and pick the outcome that you want to bet on. For example, are you going to place a bet on the boxing, golf, football, tennis, or maybe you'll build an accumulator. You then select your bet and you put in the amount that you're happy to bet. The minimum stake can, vary from place to place, but generally it's between 1p and £1. Then press confirm. And congratulations, you're ready to bet.